If you were here the first time, um, I had to hop off for a second. So I'm going to tell you about pulling energy back. This is one of my favorite things. Of course, I'm passionate about everything I talk about, but I really super love this one. So I know you're just getting notifications that I'm live, and I know I'm not in my normal time. So I'm just going to give you a second to hop on here. Hopefully, the weather is super awesome where you are because it's super delicious where I am. It's like so nice. I have all my windows open. It's one of my favorite times of the year, right? This in spring, it's great in Utah. We have full seasons, and so you get the best of all of it. I don't look forward to the winter, but okay, cool. So some of you are on here. Okay, guys, this is so important. If you can get your little, I like to say peasant minds, but I'm not calling you a peasant. But if you can get your little peasant minds wrapped around this, you can literally change your entire life just by understanding this concept. So you can always go back and replay it. So really quick, I have all these nice little flies flying around, so I get for having the windows open. As a reminder, who the heck am I? So Amy Jorgensen, I have a master's in education, and I am also a practitioner in the energy field world. I also am the founder of the Soul Centered Academy. So I teach the types of things that I do. If you're like, wow, this is really up my alley, I have lots of courses. I teach about human design. That's one of my favorite things because when you understand your human design, you stop fighting with yourself. So instead of like finding all those things that you frustrate you, you align that that's who you are. So for instance, anybody watching me do my normal day is like, dude, this girl has attention deficit disorder. But I've learned to master it, right? So instead of fighting that with myself, I use it to my advantage. So I multitask like a crazy person and just get more done than most people can get done. So it's really cool. All right. Here we go. So we're going to talk about energy. Now, this is going to be, just right up the alley of I'm just going to make us all laugh right off the get-go. Let's be serious here, right? If you watch me, I'm incredibly serious. I'm incredibly whimsy, and I love to laugh. It's like I also, may I say, like I enjoy the fact that I probably appear to be bipolar. Okay, so we're going to talk about energy. Energy is everything. Energy is physical, right? You go move a brick. You've been taught in school, right? It takes energy to move things. We won't go back into science class and talk about all the different kinds of kinetic energy and all that jazz, but energy is everything. So I made this really cool post like a few days ago. It's all about like, exchanging energy when you're intimate with someone. And one of the cool things about having my page is I'm in control. So if I don't like your comment, I just delete it. I used to engage in argumentative behaviors. And then I realized that along learning about energy, that is an energy exchange. And I don't want to give my energy to you by arguing with you. So I just delete your comment. And, this is my world. So I'll just keep deleting it. The more you post it, the more I will delete it. So anyways, someone made a comment because the post was all about energy that you exchange when you're intimate with someone. And somebody was like, oh, sexual energy is not, it doesn't transfer like that or something along those lines. And I was like, honestly, my crazy part of me is like, dude, you've obviously never had like a really great orgasm if you don't think energy transfers. I mean, you laugh, but seriously. So energy does. Energy is emotions or energy, right? Like, come on. You feel anger. You have something happen to you and you're just so emotional you can't even stop yourself from like grieving, crying. It's energy. So it's easy to see it when I tell you to pick up a brick and you move it, but it's not so easy to recognize it that, I mean, it's part of who we are. It's our system. So that's the first thing you got to align with as I'm talking about this is you got to really think about yourself as an energy field. So hopefully those examples have kind of helped you, right? Joy, like all that stuff. Think about somebody that you haven't seen for a really long time that you have a really great connection with, and then you see them. Or here's another one, energy travels that has no boundaries. So sometimes this one is easiest to explain to people when I do my work and they're like, I don't understand how this works. I tell you, like, think about a time when you've just been sitting and something hits you and you're like, I just know something's happened to so and so, or I just know something's going on with someone close to you. That's that exchange. You have connections, energetic connections with people. Okay. So in order to create things, you need energy. So creativity, thought processes, coming up with solutions, those are all energy. Think about when you're tired, right? Are you really good at coming up with solutions? I know if I have a problem, the first thing that I need to do if I want to make that problem, if I want to create a resolution to my problem, is I got to make sure that I'm not tired. Because if I'm exhausted, nothing's happening. In fact, when I'm exhausted, little teeny tiny problems feel really big. And when I'm really rested and really taking care of myself and I'm super balanced, it's like, there can be a gigantic mess going on and I can fix it. I can work through it and I don't feel overwhelmed, right? And it's all just managing my energy. So you need energy to create a new experience, okay? So align with me here. Where does your mind go the first thing that you do when you wake up in the morning? Now, I know that I do this and I even know better. Like I wake up sometimes and I'm like, wait, am I happy right now? Am I stressed out about something? It's almost like, my brain's like trying to engage. I'm connecting all back and I'm like, wait, am I worried about something? Am I happy about something? Did I fight with I don't have one anymore, but think of this. Did you fight with your spouse last night? Did you fight with your significant other? Are you in an argument with your kids? Are you getting in an argument with someone at work? Do you have a big project at work, right? Your brain starts going 100 miles an hour. Where do I need to go today? Shopping, groceries, taking the kids, blah, 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 blah. Okay. Every single one of those things is consuming. It's consuming energy from you. Okay. If you're going back into space with an argument that you got into, you're sending your energy back into that space. Okay. You're connecting yourself back to it. If you're worrying about the future, you're sending your energy forward. Anticipation is what I call it. Anticipation of the future. So that energy is being spent on a forward space. Okay. So what are you thinking about when you wake up? Who are you thinking about when you wake up? So that's the first thing, right? And so I know for me, I tend to think about the future in the morning. That's where I spend my energy in the morning, is thinking about what I have coming up. But I'm really bad about sending my energy backwards when I'm laying in bed at night, trying to fall asleep. Now, I will tell you that since I started keto, I really don't lay in bed. It's one of the beautiful things about keto is, for me, it's like an instant melatonin. So by the way, I know I keep saying this. I'm telling you what, guys, sometimes just a flow with stuff. This summer has been insane for me. And so it's like, okay, I keep telling myself, like at the 1st of September, I'm going to launch my keto stuff. And I'm not picking a date yet because I have too many like floating things going on right now. And I love that they're floating because they're like really cool opportunities and I can see them and I know they're coming. They're just not perfectly there for me to grab a hold of, right? So I'm just waiting because I have so much I'm going to be launching, but I have to get my energy and my intent and my intentions aligned with where I'm going. Okay. So, energy flows back to the past, forward to your assumed future. Now, thinking about that and thinking about all the things that you think about just when you wake up and just when you go to sleep at night and you're laying in bed, we're not even considering the gap in between. All the things that you're thinking about in between those two times, because those are also pulling your energy. Okay, right? Can you see how there are moments in your day where you're like, I feel so pulled apart? Like those little stretchy dudes the kids have, right? That's what you feel like. You're being pulled, and you are. So that leaves nothing for you in the space of what we call now. Because people are like, living in the now space, what in the world does that even mean? So the now is now in this exact present moment, right? And now it's gone. So now I'm in a different now. See how that is? It is in the exact moment, which goes by really quickly, obviously, because it's the now. So what happens is new can only happen in your now space. So if you're stuck with your energy being pulled to the past and your energy being pulled to the assumed future, you have nothing left. Okay. This is where the cycles happen, right? Because you're cycling. Everything that comes to you now, you don't have enough energy to create anything new. So let's say, for example, that something comes to me and it's a new relationship opportunity. Okay. So what happens is I'm so stuck on the relationship that I bombed that everything that starts coming to my mind is triggering an emotion. It's triggering a memory from my past relationship. And now I'm sending all that energy there and I can't create a new one. So think of it like this, right? If the person that I'm getting in a relationship with is a friend or a significant other, whatever type of relationship it is, if you're comparing it to the past and you have no new energy to put into it to create a new one, you're replicating because you're triggering the emotions because your energy is stuck in the past. So if you had an emotion of jealousy from your past relationships, that's a good one, right? Like, let's say that you're really jealous of your partner. You're always like worried that they're cheating on you. No matter how many times they tell you that you're not, you're like, oh, but I just can't stop thinking about it because, you know, so-and-so cheated on me so many years ago. You're just creating this energy loop because your energy is tied to the past. You can't create a new relationship now. Ooh, some of this is ringing really true for a lot of you, right? Situations with jobs, with whatever, like how you're raising your kids, you get stuck. And so those energies are creating that response again in your system. You're feeling it again all over because you've got your energy stuck back. So you have to move to the now, living in the present. It's something that you have to practice because I don't care that it didn't work last time. I don't care that last time you tried this, blah, blah, blah happened. Now, come on. There are certain circumstances that, yes, you know, if you were drinking and driving, you know, that has consequences. So I'm not talking about that kind of stuff. You're bright enough to understand where I'm going with this. But as far as, you know, things happening in the past, don't bring them into new situations in the future. So you focus on the now. Okay. So what has happened before is gone. You cannot change that. And sometimes we have to release some guilt. I talked about this morning when I wrote my focusing forward thing. I did focus forward, and one of the things that I wrote about was feeling some guilt for moving along after some of my traumas. So, for instance, like moving forward after my daughter passed away, I had guilt associated with that because I was like, "Ooh, if I become happy and I move forward, then her life didn't matter, and I'm hurtless because I don't have grief that she passed." Okay, no, there's nothing I can do to bring her back. So I let myself grieve, but then I realized at some point, and now this was part of my healing process. So it took a couple years, but at some point I realized there's nothing positive about me holding on to that. Nothing. I cannot bring her back. I cannot change it. Feeling sadness, feeling grief, and feeling guilt for letting that go does not get me anywhere. But what? It takes my energy and traps it back in that space. So I had to choose how to use her passing in my now moment. And how do I do that? So instead of focusing on the fact that I can't change that she's gone, I focus on the now moment and I resonate with, wow, the energy and the beautiful opportunity that I had to be her mama. I use that in the now space to help other people through their traumas, right? Because then I'm getting some positive back out of a negative situation and I'm bringing myself to the now. Okay. So what's happened is gone. Okay. Now, next, what is going to happen doesn't matter. I'm going to say that again. What's going to happen in the future doesn't matter because focusing on the now affects the future. And that's what I want you to think about. You affect the future by focusing on your now. You can't affect the future by thinking about the future. It hasn't happened yet, but you can affect your future by focusing on the now, right now in this moment. Okay. So that's what I mean by bringing your energy here. Now, our energy works off of our imagination. And that's why so many of us are not good at it anymore, is because as kids, you got told, stop it. Stop daydreaming. Stop using your imagination. Stop living in la la land. Okay. Obviously, I am the master creator of living in la la land, and it's working really well for me. So you should give it a shot. Anyway, if you want to, you can even imagine it. This is how people meditate, right? So you get into a meditative space. And for myself, I don't really do super well at like the whole getting into, you know, crisscross applesauce and doing the whole Zen thing. Sometimes I'll lay on the floor but for the most part, I can do this anywhere. So I just focus and think to myself. Sometimes I don't even close my eyes. I'm just pulling, like I'm actually thinking about light and pulling it from my past and my present. This is from my past and my future. And this is how you do this. It's whatever works for you. There is no proper way. Like when people are like, Amy, teach me how to protect my space energetically. because I'm trying everything that I've been taught and it's not working. And I'm like, all you have to do is change whatever it is that works for you. Does it seem safe for you to put yourself into a bubble? No, because bubbles can pop. Okay, then create a space that's more aligned. What about bulletproof glass? Does that seem like a good protection space for you? And people are like, yeah. It's all about whatever your subconscious likes as a protective barrier. So mine is white light. I just like to think of like, okay, and I do this with my own home. I'm like, I imagine, if you will, that I have white light energy and it doesn't allow negative energy to penetrate. That's why it's really irritating to me when people just randomly show up at my house, right? Because you're not invited and I didn't bring your energy into my space. So you can't just come busting through my door uninvited because this is my zen, okay? But if it works for you to imagine a bubble. I have some clients that imagine colors, like they like the color pink feels safe for them. So they imagine this aura filled of pink. It doesn't matter. There is no right or wrong way. It's whatever clicks with your subconscious. Okay. So, hi, Jan. Thank you. Hi, Catherine. All right. So, bringing your energy here, you know, there is no practicality to it. Don't try to make sense to things, too. Also, I want to say that. So, a lot of times, like when I go to meditate or do this for myself, um, I don't try to go anywhere. So here's how this works. So you bring yourself into the space. Let's say that you have your eyes closed, maybe you're just sitting in your chair. Maybe I'm at work and I'm like, man, I'm all over the place. I'm just gonna like literally breathe in through my nose and take a really deep breath and just bring myself back to center. And when I tell you that you need to think about nothingness, that's how you get to the now. Because you can't be focused on the past and you can't be forward on the future. You literally focus on the nothingness. So, Amy, if my brain is going 100 miles an hour and I'm worried about everything, how in the world do I do that? I just let myself get really curiouser and curiouser. So I just like kind of let myself go. I'm just like thinking about whatever pops up. And literally, if I can't get into the space, is what I do is I actually imagine myself. I visualize my body and I actually imagine myself what it would look like if I leave. So I almost literally depart myself energetically and I view myself sitting in the chair or laying on the floor. What do I look like? Where's my hair? What am I wearing? And it gets you to stop spinning circles about worrying. And if you watch yourself and you get into this space, that's that space between being awake and being asleep, you'll actually start having things happen where you're not coherent enough to worry and you let yourself go. So like you can leave your body. This isn't something I'm going to talk about in depth right now because you can do this on purpose. It's really cool. But so where I go when I meditate depends on the day. So but my now space, that's getting myself now. I'm not worried about anything. Okay. So I want you to burn this phrase. Okay. If you want to, write it on a piece of paper and light it on fire. Spread that sucker fool on fire. This is the phrase. Okay. Ready? This didn't work last time. I don't care. I don't give two hootalollies if it didn't work last time. Light that on fire. Write it down on a piece of paper because we get so stuck in our past space. That's like a ball and chain. This didn't work last time. Stops you from moving so far forward because you're so stuck on that energy space. So I want you to light it on fire, bring yourself to the now. We get really addicted to chemical feelings. That's why when you wake up in the morning, you start going through all this stuff, is because I learned this the hard way. There was a moment in time when I was working on my own healing journey. And I realized that I was like, wow, when I'm not worrying about something and I don't have anxiety, I don't know how to sit still with myself. It's very uncomfortable. It's like being with someone that I didn't know. And so I would bring the anxiety back. Of course, I don't like it, but that's what I was doing because that knot that you get in your stomach, I didn't know how to be without it. And so I watched myself do this where I would start fretting over something because if there wasn't anything crazy going on, I felt really unstable because I didn't have anything to worry about. Okay. So notice that you're doing that because you get addicted to the chemical changes. And here's why. It's because when you immediately go into fight or flight, your adrenaline starts pumping and it's like an emotional high. And then you try to keep yourself there, but you can't because your body starts burning out. You cannot have that full adrenaline all the time Fight or flight is not made permanently, but we live in that space, and that's why our bodies start falling apart. It's because you are running, and your body just can't stay with it. So notice if you're getting yourself addicted to that space, when you start feeling that anxiety in your stomach and you're like, ooh, what am I doing? Pull it back. Imagine, center yourself. Whatever it feels like to bring yourself, pull it back to your center right here. If you want, you can put your hand here, take a deep breath and bring it back in and go back to that space where you're not thinking about anything, right? And if you need to, get to that little mindset where you're having a conversation with yourself about being curious about something, because then you stop your little hamsters from running on the wheel, okay? I know it feels a tad uncomfortable to do it at first, but do it little by little, okay? So this is what I'm going to leave you with. I'm going to actually read it because it's so good. I want to mess it up. If you realized how insignificant this little blurb in time was that you're spending right now, you would spend a lot less time freaking out, and you would pull your entire self right to the center, right to this now. Nothing in the past matters. Literally, it's gone. Nothing in the past matters. And the future is created by what you do now, not by what you worry about is going to happen. All right, there you go. Okay, guys, just fill your soul up, fill your cup up, fill it all. Soul deliciousness. I will see you again, if not sooner rather than later, back on next Monday. And I hope you have a beautiful rest of your night.